Hey, everybody. So we went through a bunch this morning on our pre-market live show, right? Where we covered a bunch of stocks, what could happen. We gave some levels, and we're going to go through some of those levels again today. But as always, these videos, for anyone that's new that's watching this, we go over what transpired today in the stock market, and then we talk about what we could possibly do about it the next day. So if you're in a stock and there's something actionable going on that may have happened today, usually we cover everything that's actionable. We try to run through the top 25 or 30. I think we're on the longer list today, 30, because there's some reversals and there's just some general pullbacks, and it's time to learn the difference. So we're just going to jump right into it. The reason the reason Apple is up here, I said AMAT because AMAT's on the brain, is up here is just because I got asked about it repeatedly. I am not remotely concerned about this. I have not sold any of it. I've been in this for a while now, and I just see no reason to move it. We keep going to the 50-day and pushing against it and hitting it. And I have this saying, and just kind of remember it: if you keep knocking on a door, eventually it's going to break in. It didn't hit once and reject. It's hitting again and again and again. And I want to really get into this. And, one of the things that people need to know about me when they're watching these videos is I get really into the detail, because the devil's in the details. It really is. And you'll learn that the longer you trade stocks. I've been doing it 20 years. It took me a while to realize how much detail you needed to pay attention to, but you do. So you see this level right here, this 127.89. See how we stopped here, hit here, 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 then here. Today's the first day that you got above it. See that? Then you open below and you stopped here. But you haven't been hitting a higher high or a lower low, have you? So what's been happening here is we're hitting higher highs against the 50-day that's pointing up, and the 50 is going to cut into the 21, not the other way around. In other words, the 50 is pointing up trajectory to meet the 21. The 21's not coming down to cut the 50. Follow me? It's an important distinction. So what you're going to see here is this is going to cut it. This eventually is going to bang a U-turn and go up. But what we're seeing is just in a little battle here. And the selling's drying up, the selling's less, the selling's less, the selling's less. That's why I wanted to get into details. So you can just see by these little 4 bars, you can kind of tell yourself a little story about what's going on. And it's important to understand that, because you're looking at this and going, oh, it's hitting the 50-day, it's rejecting. Yes, it is. It is hitting the 50-day. Yes, it is rejecting when you look at it that way. But when you start looking at the details, you can say, hey, this is starting to curve up. Like it's getting ready for a big push. If somebody told you that the market was going to go up every day and your stocks were going to go up every day, it's just not accurate. It's just not the way it is. And it provided a lot of buying opportunity today. It also gave us the opportunity to find some shorts. There were some things I added short today that I'll go over. I just want to go through this. I got asked about this a lot today. So there's apparently a lot going on with this company with housing, federal housing. People are renting out federal housing. I didn't realize that this was going on, and it's becoming a bigger issue. I don't know how it's going to impact the stock, if it's going to impact the stock. Frankly, I don't think it has anything to do with the stock. We're going to get rid of this. But there's a negative article out there, and there's going to be some negative press, it looks like, on this issue. But let's just get to really what's important. You see this line right here? Okay. That's really like your bottom of the barrel where you're going to go to. And let me just make sure I have it perfect. 21, what is that? 121.50. So let's just go to that 121.50 and put that in there. So you can see really where your low is. Now, all you're doing here is trying to rally and failing over and over again, right? And that's why I put this one in, so you could see that. Okay, so you can't even get above a simple level. To me, this is setting up for a major, picture this being a cup, and it's a reverse cup. This is setting up for a major break. I could argue that this is, I could argue that here, we'll just do it this way. I could argue that, this is the left shoulder. I could argue that this is the head. I could argue this is the right shoulder. You can make that argument, right? How you're rolling here, and now you've broken that. And as soon as you've broken that here, you can see what happened, right? So you can make that argument. And what you're seeing is you're just seeing follow through. Now you're coming to the next crux after you broke this crux, and that's down here. And this is telling you it's going lower. If I have not started a short position on this yet, but to me, this is going lower. I think you're going to test this 119. They have a lot of cost issues they have to concern themselves with now, without getting too fundamental here. But room rates on high-end hotels are dropping, and the prices of Airbnb are going up. Hotels are trying to get people in and cut deals. You'll find some amazing deals right now. If you go out there on Orbitz or Priceline or any of them, just absolutely amazing deals. And you compare those to Airbnb, and they just really can't stand a candle. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and how they're going to have to adjust their pricing with the economy opening. Now, this ALTO, I got asked about it over and over again. And as always, what we go over today is extremely timely. Watching this a week or two from now doesn't do you justice. So please click the subscribe button and please turn on your notifications, all notifications, so that you're aware of it. Also, we are starting to do a pre-market show, and we're going to do it every single day around 8:30, not exactly 8:30. So you need to have your notifications on and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of when I say we like it's a team, when I go live to cover, a game plan and, for the first 15 or a half hour of the market. So what you're going to see here and what's transpiring is relatively simple. Okay. You have this is a reversal. Okay. This is not a pullback. This is a classic reversal. And I wanted to just bring this up. If you broke through here, you could get to this level. This needs to reverse very fast and get back over this wick. If that doesn't happen, this is done, and you're going back down to these levels. You're going back down to the 530 level, and I'm going to tell you why. So here's your upper trend line, okay? And we're going to have to really get in here and look at this. So here's my upper trend line, okay? And look at that wick. Complete price rejection. Open, runs, falls, can't even hold the open, is hanging on here by a thread. A lower low, and then this is going to go to here, which it's not going to hold, right? And it's going to come to here. Why do I say it's not going to hold that? Because I think it'll complete the evening star pattern, which gets it below here, which is going to add even more pressure to it. And maybe you catch one of these, but I doubt it. I think you're going to come to the low end of this. And then if that doesn't happen, you're going here. So a lower low on this, and that is a confirmation of the reversal. But that is a reversal to me. When you are that far up and then you just have completely collapsed like that, right on a trend. You're right on the trend. You can see that. So just avoid. AMAT we went over today. We're pretty clear about it. I like it. I think it could have better action. Look, people are going to be nervous. Okay. We just went from 120 where nobody wanted to own these to here. You're up 17% in 4 days, 6 days, they're saying. So, 4 trading days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So plus this one, which I'm counting. We'll call it 5. I guess they're throwing the weekend in there somewhere. I'm trying to figure out how they're coming up with that count. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how they're coming up with that count. 4 bars, 6 days. Well, maybe they're counting the weekend there. Okay. So what we're going to see here is just going to see a little bar, a little breakout, and it just didn't close at the high. And so that means you have a little price rejection up here, and people are probably just like taking a little bit of a profit. It's not the worst thing. You're going to have sellers here, right? You're going to have people that have been waiting for over a month to get out of the stock, and that's what they've done. They waited for this to happen, and they got out of the stock. You'll see the same exact thing happen when this happens. When this gets up here, you're going to see people want to get out of the stock. Doesn't mean that it's done going up. It just means they've had enough. So that might pull us back and then just test. Yeah, and again, as I've been saying, I think you can base for a while before you break out. And so just watch it. Just be careful. But I do like this trade. And, maybe wait for NVIDIA and see how NVIDIA does in earnings before you run in here. So AMC, we talked about. I was in this. It broke this wedge. I got out. It stayed and formed a new flag formation below this. And then, of course, it breaks out yesterday on that move. I was pretty clear on that move to not go near it until you broke above this level. And this is AMC, and I really want to show you this because it's very important for you to understand why See these weekly levels that we just leave in right here, 1454, and we just leave them in here. Okay, it's really important that you do that and make a mental note to do that in your charts. And I'll just show you why. So these are those lines. Okay, these are those lines. So you can see, let me just do it on the 5 minute because it'll be cleaner and easier. And we'll get rid of these indicators. So you can see here that 1454 level, okay? And you can see what transpires. We touch it, right? We touch it, and we reject it, okay? Forms an evening star pattern, doesn't really complete, kind of does later on down the pike, and then holds, and then forms a morning star reversal, and then boom, it's gone. Breaks up over here, can't hold that line. Now just look at this. Look how classic this is. That line that we had drawn, it opens and closes right on that line, right? Then trends down, and then one more time, third time's a charm, boom, 1, 2, 3. Keep knocking on the door eventually. And let me just say that for those people that are looking to trade a little bit more, that's what you want to see. You want to see the first time usually the first time is not the time that it goes. It's usually the second or third time. But if you're playing this and waiting for the close, and it closes on the 5 minute and then it closes below it, just get out and just do it and keep doing it until it goes. If you did that, you're in this, and you're in it for very little risk. You're just using the pivot bars on the 5 minute. It's a very simple way to trade, and it doesn't hurt you, right? So if you buy this pivot and it breaks out, you buy it as close as you can. If it takes out that low, you just get out of it. Right, 1441. Okay, so I lose with slippage by the time I bought it and everything else. I lose 20, 25 cents. Who cares? Right, comes through, does it again right here. What's the low of that bar? 1452. Okay, so I buy that breakout bar and I'm up here, so I'd lose 25 cents. 25 cents, either one of these, if you combine those two trades, right, you would have lost 50 cents. And then from here, 450 to where are you after hours? 1661, 1641. We closed at, and I think that's the close. I think after hours it's banging around a little bit. Yeah. So I mean, $2 and you lost 50 cents. I mean, I'll do that all day long. You know, and with something like this, you can even do size because of the amount of volume that stock does. So that's one way that you could have traded that today and stayed in it solely off a weekly. Right? And you're trading off a weekly line on a 5 minute bar. So that's when people always ask me why do you go out on the weeklies? Why do you look at bars that are so small? That's why. So APPS, I have no position in AMC, by the way. I was busy with other things today, other stocks. I have no position. I missed it. So congratulations to those that are in it. APPS doing exactly what we talked about, but I was asked about it a lot. So it means that a lot of people are in it, want to see what's going on. This is pretty textbook stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We ran right to support, which is now resistance, right? See how it flipped? Support, bonk, bonk, not anymore. Now it's resistance. Okay. Now we knocked on the door once, and we're going to see if it's going to happen again, but this is setting up to roll. This is setting up as a rejection. Okay, and why am I saying this is a rejection versus a pullback? Okay, let's get into it. See this bar? Okay, it's a short-legged doji. It's not really that long, but here's another doji showing indecision. Here's another indecision. What do I have? Indecision, right? And then what do I encapsulate with that indecision? Basically, just these bear bars that are just encapsulating the move, right, of the bull, right? This body versus body, you're looking at bearish engulfings. You can argue that they're not because it's not encapsulating the whole move, but if you really want to get technical, I'm more interested in the meat of the move. The meat of the move is where we open and where we close, not the wicks, and that's why I use them a lot. But you need to understand that that's price rejection. So what else happened here today, right? This was all price rejection here, right? Was it price rejection today in selling? Nope. Today was get me out. I've had enough. So this was setting up to me to roll. This is a rising wedge that's right in here. You can kind of see this, right? See that rising wedge? We opened below it, bonk. We did a little boomerang on it. That breaks, you're going back to the 200-day to 54, 53. So be very careful there. BA, everyone knows my stance on this. I'd be really careful with these today. They had some pretty negative action across the board. BA, AAL, Jets, all of them. And I'm going to put this in here. They look at the 50-day and how it hit it and rejected it. This is the first time it got to the 50-day since here, and it's done that. So I would be very cautious here. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying just be cautious, because take a look at what's going on under the hood, right? Here's Jets. Okay, you see how you're just riding right there? You're just riding that down. This is where you would reverse on the move. And now let's go to this. AAL, look at this. American Airlines, right? Look at how nasty that is, that reversal. Okay, and you're going to see some of this stuff everywhere today. Just these nasty reversals. There was an issue too just in cruise lines, but it really didn't seem to affect them as much. But I want to point this out on cruise lines while we're on this. Okay, you should be able to see these. All right, and they were talking about a cruise, and apparently some people got sick on it again. The crew members contracted corona. I think it was out of Portugal. I'm not sure, but these didn't fall apart on it. So if you're looking for some sign, right? But like, look at this. If you're looking for some sign on these, you kind of really don't have it yet. I mean, the fact that they didn't fall apart's good, but you just need to watch them. And I want to group that all together because it's one big trade, right? I mean, like you look at this. You look at RCL, CCL, American Airlines, UAL, ALK. The only difference is the balance sheets. Obviously, the space and transportation and their roles in it, but technically, it's all one big chart the way it's trading. So I'd be really cautious of this until I get above that 50-day and close above the 50-day, maybe even on the weekly. Like at the end of the week, close above the 50-day, because we probably, I wonder if we've even done that. So you probably haven't even done that since back here, right? So you'd have to really take a look at that. I mean, I would be really, really cautious here. I mean, even on the weekly, this is not. Let me just clone this. Even on the weekly, we're not looking great here, like at all. I'd like it to be there. So. You're just not looking. You're not looking great at all here, and I'd be very concerned. I wouldn't want to be a buyer here, right? The more I'm looking at it. Let's go through the monthly. Yeah, I mean, this is just nasty stuff. And like, look at this rejection up here. Still, you tried to get to this peak. You just got there, right? You just got to this on the monthly on BA, and then you rejected. Like you don't want to be here. You need to see what this is going to do. And you have this, like, you need to get back over this. If you don't get back over this on the monthly, you're going to have an issue and this can roll. So, and this is much longer term. Obviously, you could trade up, you could stay here and base and then go higher. But if this starts taking out lower lows, this could get really ugly and come back down. So just be careful of that. I don't know why we have this here anymore. Let's remove all that text. So this is CELH, and I hope I was pretty clear today about this. Like, this was not where you buy it. This is where you sell it. We went over this in the pre-market, and I don't know. I mean, I hope that was clear. But overall with this, just take a look at this. Look, when you have something like this and you run right into a trend line, you do not buy it ahead of it. It's one thing if you're buying it, it breaks down here, it rallies, right? It doesn't reach it. It breaks down here, does a little reversal off of this, and you're like, I'm going to buy it here. That's fine because now you're ahead, right? And then you can use this as your stop. You could have sold some up here. You have a lot of different options. You're in control because you have an edge now. And here is not where you buy it going, oh, it's going to break. No, it's not. It may eventually. I do think eventually this breaks and continues its ascent. It's a great company, but you really need to watch this. And you have an enormous base here that's got to break all the way from December. So right now, this did not reject in the sense of we have a reversal. This just did not break out yet. It's by far this is not over. This move still looks great. It just didn't happen this time. So we want to look for a pullback and start initiating positions. And if you're a position trader, you can start positioning yourself and buying little bits of it. the majority of trading that I talk is just swing or just like just get in and go from there. But if you're like a position trader on pullbacks, buy it, because I do think that it does go. And I would just be concerned if I broke this level and closed below it. But for people like myself that want to just trade it to get in at once, I'm going to wait for some type of pattern for it to pull back before I enter it. And I just don't see that yet. Coin, I'm still short. I added to the short position today. I become concerned when I close over 250. Other than that, I have so much showing me that this is going lower that I'm just not really concerned about it. I mean, today was just they trapped the shorts and they trapped the weak shorts that had to panic. So that's not me. I've been around too long. So, you're going to have one of these 2-3 days. Oh, it's really going to go up this time. And this is what's going to happen. Now, look, if it gets through 250, I'm out. I take my loss and I move on with my life. But I don't think that's going to happen. If I did think that was going to happen, I'd be out of the trade. But, I think you're going to test these levels as you did today. You tested the 240. You got through that. You closed at 242.49. Where are we after hours? Yeah, we're down a little bit after hours, down at about $2. So I'm not really that worried about it. I did add to it today. I did not put that on Twitter. I don't really want people adding to positions like this that are rising. It's somewhat concerning to me because sometimes I talk to people and they don't seem to have an actual game plan on how they're going to get out. But I don't think you're breaking this downward trend line. You haven't done that yet. And frankly, the amount of press that this is getting with $370 target prices and Goldman initiating coverage, this is the best that we're going to do. 6%, and yesterday we were flat. It's not even a concern of mine, that position, and I would not be a buyer of it. If you really want to buy this, if you truly want to buy this, and you're like, no, I think Coinbase is the next thing, close over this downward trend line, right? And then you have to watch the 310 level. Close over this trend line, and then you may see buying. I will not be a buyer of it, but I'll be looking for a spot to get shorted again. But I do see why people think it could move if it breaks that. DDD, this is one from the newsletter. Let's throw in the indicators. So nothing's changed. It's just resting. All it's doing is resting right here. Nothing to do here. I have it up here because people were concerned about it, but there's really nothing going on, right? You're just kind of trapped right in the middle of this. So there's nothing going on, and just sit with it. Let it tell you what it's going to do. Just stick with the game plan. Fudu, this was a nice move on Tiger's numbers, TIGR today, and I am going to cover that. And it's funny, people already know what I'm going to say about it. But you got to the 50-day and you rejected, but you did close over the 21-day for the first time in a while, which is great. And I think people were happy with today's action. I thought it was okay. I don't think it was great. You did have some volume come in, and we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, you have this huge trend here, and you have this one here. So I'm just not doing cartwheels on this like at all. I mean, you're going to have to give this some time. And there's just so much resistance above there. So GME, I went to cover. Everybody's, all excited. It's so funny let's get rid of these indicators. When you start to see this come in, it just looked to me like they were just going to keep dragging this on for as long as they possibly could to just completely take all the call options and put options and make them absolutely worthless. That's what it really felt like. That was not the case today. And we saw a really nice move out of this base. So not only did you get above this 188 level, but you got above this wick, right? You turned, and look where you went to. You're banging on this. I mean, it's kind of nuts that it's doing this again, but there it is. So 227, maybe it pushes again. Maybe they'll be able to run it again. If they do break the 225 level, the next level for this is this 316. That's where it goes to. That's really the next move for it. So just keep that in mind. If you break 225, right? If you can get it above that 225 and close, this is not going to be like this, all this right here. That's not really going to be. Let me see if I could change that color and make that anything but. Is that better? Yeah, that's better, much better. Just lighten it up so you can, it sticks out a little bit more. So what I'm talking about. So what I like about this, let me just shrink that down so you can just see. That's all I want you to do is just recognize this is your resistance here and then over here, right? So you really don't have a ton that you have to worry about. So I think it could break through and just keep on going. If it breaks this, it keeps on going. I have no position anymore. I was short. I got a little blip on it. I got out. You know, I think maybe it was back here. I have to go take a look, but I have no position in it. I will not be going long or short this. If this happens again, it's going to scare the heck out of me, frankly, because I'm wondering what the regulatory bodies are going to do, because it's clearly at this point being driven up, right, on just pure speculation. And maybe they do something, maybe they do nothing, but it's just going to be concerning to me. What Robinhood does. Do these guys halt it again? There's just too much risk for me in it. If you want to day trade it or you want to give it a shot, go for it. You need to break this 225 level. I was asked a lot about this today. I would not buy this until it breaks 225 now. I would not be chasing this. Yep, after hours it's not moving. All right, NIL. So this ran right to a key average, the 200-day, and rejected. So that is a rejection. It hit the 200-day, okay, and the 50-day, and it rejected and closed below the 21-day. That's about as bad of a rejection as you can get. So you closed, you hit the 50-day, the 200-day, and closed below the 21-day, all in one day. It's like a big feat to even do that. So on top of that, you form 2/3 of an evening star position at the bottom of a trend. So, I mean, it kind of tells you where this might be going. So just, I don't know why we have this here. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that bar completely. And let's use this bar so you can see what I'm talking about. So you're sitting right on it. Now you're actually below it. So I would just be really careful here. I would not be chasing this. I would expect this to roll back into this channel. And you can see how these two channels kind of match. I'm not going to clone them right now. And that should get me back to $30. But I would not be chasing that at all. Not even a little bit. So, you know, I was clear on what to do here. You're up 17% in 3-4 days. We ran right to the level we talked about this morning, right? We ran right to it, right? And what happened? We rejected. So we opened right on it. So they for those that are watching, they don't know what to do because you're open right on it. You're like, oh, well, that's not going to be helpful. And then they took it up a little bit just to bring it back down. And you still closed above yesterday's close, which is good. But you have earnings tomorrow, so you just have to watch this one. It's not something I'm jumping into right now or telling you that you need to jump into. You need to just watch this. And if it takes out a lower low or you're flat on this, my recommendation was, unless you're up 10%, you might really want to reevaluate how you're going to hedge this going into earnings. Because, I mean, it's nothing for this to move 10%. And that 10% is going to be 60 points one way or another. So just keep that in mind. Path I wanted to pull up because I wanted to just point something out. So you have a channel right here, right? You could see it on this side too, all these wick rejections, all these rejections, price rejection. But what you did here today was interesting. I didn't take out a new high, which is fine. I went right to this level again though, this $80 level, and I held. And that's what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to see. We're about, we're into the P's, but I have a ton to go over. Let me get some coffee real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's just keep going. So path, I wanted to just point that out. Look what's going on here, right? So that's what you need to focus on. Okay. I don't think that you buy it here, but I do like the fact that it hit 80 twice and held. There it is. Okay, pod. I wanted to go through this one. I was asked about this. And I just want to point this out to the person that's asking about it. The symbol on this is PODD. And here you are here. And you can see that 261.82 level, right? You could see what happened right there. You got right to the top of that, and what happened? It rejected. I don't think it's over yet because you still opened at the low and closed at the high. But you're starting to see indecision in the movements of the players here. Just like you see how you were falling down here and how straight and beautiful these red bars were. And then all of a sudden you came down here and all of a sudden you're dealing with indecision. And how do I know I'm dealing with indecision? Look at these wicks. Okay? They're all over the place. And that just happens when you're getting a turn. All right? I can go over that. And I need to do another video on candlesticks, but if you haven't watched the candlestick video, I'm going to link that at the end of this video, and I'd recommend watching it. But you see the wicks are price rejection. So when you start seeing that turn, and what tells you that you're turning? Well, I start getting long green bars. Okay, that's telling you you're turning. Now what's happening? See, I'm getting these tighter ones with these little wicks. You have to watch that. So this could be setting up to roll. And you got right to the breakout here, or one of the breakdowns, and you rejected. So just watch that. I do like that you're above the 21 and you're above the 200. You could totally do one of these, right? I mean, you could totally do one of these. I mean, there's no question about it. I don't know that that's going to happen. You know, you could also just roll, but you know, I would just keep that in mind. That could definitely happen. But so I wanted to just point that out. In the cues, you know, I was asked to go over them, so let's just do it. Nothing's changed. I got a little red bar up here and I rested. I mean, I actually think it's very bullish that we couldn't even make a lower low. I firmly expect us to go back through the 50-day and shake people out. I couldn't even get that today, you know, so just keep that in mind. I'm very happy with the action. So I went over this today, and looks like this is today's action. Let's get rid of this. We don't need it. So from the newsletter, let me unlock that because that's going to bother me. I want to put it here, and now you can lock it. So from the newsletter, we're in at $78. Okay, we're at 89 now, and that's okay, right? My point was today, when we opened and we opened up, that we were up close to 20% and that we were up to almost 20% in 2 days. And, you know, the market looked kind of toppy. So my point in issuing that statement today to sell or to trim portion was not only so that you're selling a portion up here, it's that so that if we did sell down like we did today and got to what was the low of today at one point, 85.50. So that if we did come down, you know, 5 points, you're not panic selling. Right? You've taken some out. You've moved your stop on. You're not second guessing yourself. You have a game plan. Money management skills like that are critical. So I would highly recommend you start thinking like that. But what do you do with this now? You certainly can't chase it. You have to wait and let this sort itself out. I do like that it's a hammer. I really do. And I do like that you closed right where you closed yesterday. I mean, that is very good stuff. But I wouldn't be a buyer up here. You know, we're in cheaper, and just keep it. So RH, I wanted to do, I was asked about this one and I was really happy because there's a lot of really cool things going on here. So you have this, right? Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this. So we flipped one and stayed above it. We're going to flip another one eventually and stay above it. We flipped the 50 and it's curling. Right? See all this curled, and now we're heading higher. So I think this has massive potential. Like, I really do. I think this can go. There's a couple really cool key levels here that have broken. It's like a technical dream, this thing, like how much stuff you get to draw. But what's really interesting is that this is setting up on many levels, right? This curl that's setting up. So to me, what I would be looking for, frankly, all these are going to be minor moves, right? The bigger move is going to be this top move up here, which is 689. Now, no one's going to really want to wait for the top move to get through this. So really, you're going to have to figure out how to buy it above 645. Hold on. I think that's wrong. I think it's actually higher. That yellow number's getting in the way. 649 is really where you're at. So you're looking at 649.50. And you're really only looking at 25 points or 5% from there, right? So you're going to have to watch this and try to figure out how you're going to get in it. Maybe it's on a smaller move down, and on like a smaller 15-minute or hourly chart, you can find a spot to do it that way. But I do like this, and I do think you're heading to this level. I think you're going to get back to that 700 level pretty soon, 733.05. Ruby, I was surprised I was asked about again, but let's just go over it. I mean, I called it yesterday. I said, this is a nasty rejection. It's going lower. And that's exactly what it did today. It went down, I think, another $1 or something? It went down another 4.5%. So, I mean, you're sitting right on this level. I fully expect this to break and get washed out. Like when you move like this and you have a move like that, you're just toast. I mean, it's just everybody that's in it now is sitting there. They're watching and waiting, hoping, praying that it's going to go back up because it went back up last time. It's not how the stock market works. So it doesn't know you own it. And then you're seeing this. And if you get super technical, like super technical, right? And you're exactly on that line. Okay. You're actually through it. Okay. So I would be really careful here. It would be nothing for this to come down if you were long this, and it's good that we're reviewing. It'd be nothing for this thing to go to $17. Absolutely nothing. So, and it could happen faster than you think. So keep that in mind. I definitely would not be a buyer of this. If there's some news that's going to come out that's fundamental, that changes the entire story, but I'm just looking at the technicals. So I like this. I don't think there's a lot to concern ourselves with here, but we do have a lot of lines on this chart. So probably, 100 too many. So let's just get rid of all of them. And let's get rid of all of this. And we'll get rid of all the arrows. It's a lot of arrows. So let's go here, put this line in. And we're going to go here. I'm just going to throw our support in real quick. Let's go all the way back to here. I can actually really go all the way back to here with it. So it happens to be 1,000. Okay. So, okay. Yep. 1082. Okay. So you see where I'm going with this. You see your base, see where you're at. And this should actually probably pulls all the way back to here, doesn't it? Yeah. So you tried to break it, couldn't. Bonk. Got through it. Boom. Support becomes resistance. You see where I'm going with this. So all we're doing is just looking at price and reading price right now, right? We can just go through this and you see how far it's come and what it's been doing. And it's been doing this for how long? Since November. Okay. So really what we're doing is we're setting up here. And you take out all your moving averages and everything. And frankly, your moving averages on this, when you throw it in, okay, they're somewhat immaterial, aren't they? Right? Because you're flatlining. So they're almost, the averages themselves are flatlining. So what the heck's the point? I don't need a moving average to tell me that it's going flat. I can look at it and tell you it's going flat. Look exactly where we closed, right? I mean, exactly. We just happened to close right there. Like that's pretty pivotal stuff that you're closing right on the downward trend line. So what we want to see is we want to see this consolidate and flip. For those that want to buy it, you need this. Okay, at this point in the game where you're at, you need to wait till you get to over 1301. So 1302, however you want to use it. If you want to use a point, a point or two or 10 higher, that's up to you. You can see this other level back here at 1285. I'm not overly concerned with that because I wouldn't be in it until I get up to that 13 level. So, and you know what? I apologize. There was someone asked me this, and I said that I would do it. So we're going to go back to this while I'm thinking about it before I forget. And they were asking me to explain RSI to them and if there was a divergence here. I don't see a divergence. I definitely do not see a negative divergence. I just see a very pretty line going up. Maybe you were looking at an hourly or something. Let's just see that. Maybe I can get some more color. I still don't really see anything that is divergent. Let me just go to the 15-minute. I still don't see anything that's overly divergent. So nothing that's of concern there on that. I mean, this is nice. This is good stuff. You could actually, make the argument that it's doing exactly what it needs to do. Because like here, this point is to here and this point is higher. So it's actually, there's really no divergence when you look at it that way, right? So I don't see that. So, okay. So at least we knocked that out. of the park, and we're done that. So let's just keep going. So now we're on to SOXL. As I stated the other day, or even this morning, we talked about this, and get rid of this one as well. From Wednesday, we talked about buying it when it came down on Bitcoin, and that's exactly what happened, right? And we did very well with that trade. Now we're looking for it to get up to this level. Maybe I'm being too specific. Maybe I should be using the 50-day. I don't really care, because I'm in enough, right, that I'm up enough that I want to be in this. I was pretty clear today that I don't think that we have a shot of not going back to those levels, which means I can't buy stock there again, which means you might have something that you might be able to keep in your portfolio for, a year and never sell, right? You have that opportunity if you follow it along with this trade. So why do I want to sell it? Because I didn't get there today. It's a Tuesday. See what happens tomorrow. Like, it's not going to happen every single day that you want it to happen. People have to understand that. Stocks are going to go up 10 points, down 10 points. It doesn't mean you sell them. So unless you want to be that kind of trader, which is fine. I mean, that is fine. I mean, you can do that and make a living and make money. It's just, it's exhausting. So I'm looking for it to get to this 39 level. I don't know that I'm going to get that. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I'm going to do with the stock that I bought here. You see this red bar here? If I take out the low of this, I'll sell a certain percentage of my position there instead of waiting for this. But I didn't take out the lower low today. I didn't take out a lower low at all yet. So the first lower low would lead me to believe that it's over. But if I'm in this at 28, right, 29, I have to go look at the exact cost. I thought it was like 28 and a quarter. Yeah, it might have been 28 and a quarter. So, but if we come out tomorrow night with NVIDIA's earnings, and as I stated, I want to make sure I'm up 10% in the trade beforehand. Well, I'm up 30% in this. I'm willing to bet that NVIDIA is not so bad that the entire NASDAQ or the entire SOX goes down 10%, which sends this down 30. I'm willing to bet that. It could set it up to go higher, right, by 5% or down 5%, but that's half the magnitude that we're talking about. So I'm comfortable with this, but that's the way I'm going to play it. If it breaks this, I'll get out of it. A portion, I'm going to hold the rest until break even. So SPWR, I keep getting asked about these solar names. Look, I mean, it's going right to the 21, and the bears are in charge. Right? And now the 21 crossed the 200, and the 200's getting ready to start pointing down. I would not go near this. I would avoid this whole sector. And if you look at this whole sector here, tan. Let's go through this sector. I think, I have that actually coming up next anyway. But while we're here, let's just do it. So this is tan. This is the solar sector. And you can just see that the 50 is crossing the 20, or the 50 and the 200 are crossing. The 21 is basically just an arrow pointing straight down. So this is not something that I would be in. I would just avoid that whole sector. And this sting I was asked about today, and I just want to go through this. This is a reversal bar. Okay. Why is this a reversal bar? This is STNG. So, and this is one of the tankers. Why? So here's your indecision bar. We don't know where we're going, right? You have your little wick there. It breaks below that, so that starts the evening star pattern. I go completely through that, the rest of the completion of the evening star, and I close at the low of the day. Okay, unless some news is going to hit, this is going to have follow through. Probably something similar to this. Right? See how you have that right here? And then look what had transpired with that. Okay, so that's what I think is going to happen here. So I think you have a chance for this to break, just like we did here, and then possibly roll back down to the 21 or the 50. This is kind of setting up for a reversal. So I'd be really careful here with this. I usually don't like the smaller ones, and the reason I did this one was just because look at this wick again, just to go through these long-legged wicks usually mean indecision. Indecision means that you could be setting up for a reversal. Just watch this. If this is something that you truly want to play, okay, it's very clear where your level is. And we can put those moving averages back in a moment. But it's very clear where you need to be, right? I don't think it goes all the way back to here, does it? Doesn't make it that easy. No. So, you're really looking at 301. You want to get through 301 before you do anything on this. I would not be chasing that until it does that. It's hit it and rejected, which means to me there's a seller there. And look at all that volume. Like, look, that's a lot of volume. So 10 TEN, look, we broke out. We looked like we were going to go higher, and we didn't. Did it go below this trend? No. Okay. As long as it doesn't, I don't know why they're locking there. It's infuriating. It should be locking here. Okay. So what we're waiting to see here is, as long as you're above this trend line, you're good. If you break below and close below that trend line, you probably will revert to the mean. Okay. So when you break these trend lines, you revert to a mean. That mean is going to get you to roughly 1275. I do not want to be around for that. Okay. So I would be a seller up here if it breaks through that. What my hope is that we started really seeing major momentum, because this has a lot of power behind it, right? We went through this on the weekly. This was actually on our stocks to watch list. I'm just going to use this part of it right now. Get rid of this for a moment. So here's your 13.25 level. Here's your 1629 level. Look where you went to, right? You can't get there. That's what you need to clear next. Clear this hurdle, and then this is just blue skies to 21.25. So 1629 is really what you're looking for out of this, right? And you can see that the momentum's on our side. I mean, we're there. We don't really have any of these moving averages that are going to really screw with us until we get up to here at 25, 26 bucks. So we have a lot of potential here. I like this. Tiger, everybody knows what I'm going to say, so let's just do it anyway. I got it today. It acted exceptional out of the gate. You actually even had the potential today, and we'll go through that, to buy it again during the day and then have it trade up. But look, this 2009 level, I don't know who's there. I don't know who's selling, but somebody is selling there, and you can see it again. They just sold it all day. And look at the volume. Like, look at this volume. I mean, this is the most volume we've ever had. Ever. By a long shot. And I still can't get through that? Who the heck's selling? Right? I mean, who is selling? Somebody's got a lot of stock, is hammering this thing and just saying, just give me anything. I'll take anything above 20. And they are just hammering it. So I don't know why you'd want to be there. Now, when that clears itself up, that's probably a really good indication that you want to buy that stock. But we just haven't gotten there yet. We're just not there. So no, I'm avoiding. But I do want to point out these patterns, because I think it's really important that people learn them. So this today, okay, you break out and you run, right? But look at this. If you were following this the whole way down on this trend line, and you were using this, the low, right? Because you don't want to be like this. Let me just talk about this from a day trade for a second, so you can understand kind of some methodology, a little bit of it, right? Let's just open this all the way up and just look at this. And it could be anything. And these moving averages and volumes are relevant for this conversation. So here you are, and you trade up, and you break your first 5-minute bar, and then you miss it, and then it's like, oh, it's a 21. You do not chase this, right? Because you're a professional trader and you want to make money. Your goal is to make money. Your goal is not to tell your guy friends and or girlfriends or whoever, oh, I'm in TIGR, it's up 10% today, and you're down 3%. Like, your goal is not to just say you're in it. Your goal is to make money. Know the distinction. So you do not want to be in this if it takes out this low. Period. If it takes out the low of the day, you do not want to be in this, because it can fill the gap all the way back down to here, because there's no support in here, and nobody wants to go for that ride. Okay, so that's why they play with these levels and then bring it back up sometimes. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. You honor your stops. So see how you have this wedge right here? See how it broke that wedge? Once you broke that wedge, the same types of patterns that we're going through, like on daily charts, right? They're right here. So you literally could have bought this wedge or waited for this breakout and bought that wedge. And then you would have been in it and had a shot at it and been up $1 in the trade at one point, and then made a decision on what you wanted to do. And maybe you just moved your stop, to break even, and then you're in it in case this time is the time that it does break. But at least you have a plan and a process in place. And what happens from there, we just don't know, but at least you have one. So again, that's just me explaining to you one way to consider, entering a position. And there's a multitude of them. But again, I'm not going near that stock until it gets and closes above $20. I wanted to go through this one because I know I've got a lot of bottom fishermen. So you really, wow, I got a lot of lines on here. Okay, so you really have to look at these and how they're rolling. But most importantly, you got to this level today, okay, 567, right? You remember you were down here, so you're up about 20% on that move. So when this broke down, opened, undercut, broke down, like that was the buy, right? Right down here. Someone took the shot and they were right. This breakout of this little wedge, that was a buy, right, on that little gap, and then pushing up. You really need to watch what you're doing now because you're hitting the point of getting into the gap. And the people that are going to sell into the gap are the people that owned here during earnings. And people that couldn't get out of their entire position here still want to get out. So you really need to get above the 568 level, right? It's important to understand the players and what they're doing to some extent, to have an idea. So that 768 level you really have to watch. You really need to watch 768. Okay, I would not buy that until you go through that. Travel Zoo, I just wanted to go through. Okay, this is a nasty red bar that we opened. We tried to break out. We came down and we closed the 21 day. A lower low, and I would be out of this. You're setting up for a move like this. You're setting up for, and what's scary about it is you're lower on the 50 day. You're literally right here. Sorry, I keep pulling the wrong one tonight. So, see, you got to watch that. UPST, you know, yesterday was pretty clear. I bought some. I'm still with it. You know, there's nothing for me to do. So there's a couple different ways to trade this. I would tell you right now that obviously if you bought it up here, you know, nobody went to talk about it. I think my cost is 140. It's a starter position. I was pretty clear about that. I don't like that we took out the lower low from 3 days ago. I don't like that we're closing below all these. But you closed right here. Right? You closed right on that level. So this might be the completion, and now you might see the reversal and start seeing it head back up. I really see no reason to do anything with it. I mean, for me at this point, to think that this 80% move was going to just drop down, that's clearly not going to happen, right? I mean, it just doesn't work that way. So, I mean, here, look at this. Just to very quickly do this. So if you do this, and very rarely do I just show fibs because, let me remove this horizontal line. But if you just take the fib move, right? So this was your move on the fibs. And you can see where I'm going with this, but you can see where one of the levels is, right? I mean, you kind of get it. You know, you can kind of see where one of the levels are. So, I mean, this is 1, this is 0, but you just happen to fall on one of those. You know, that's nothing for this thing to pull back. And I just wanted to kind of show that so you can understand it. I do look at fib levels sometimes just because it tells you the magnitude of a move on a pullback. And we're about there. Doesn't mean it can't get worse. Breaks that, you know, it can easily come back down to here. But I just don't think that that's what's in store for it. It's just too technical. And now you see how long and red this one was and how short and red this one is. So it's obviously the magnitude of the move is slowing. Last time this happened, here's a long red one from the high, followed by, right, a shorter red one. Next day was a reversal, followed by, stocks have patterns. Here's a long red one, followed by a short red one. Stocks have patterns, follow the patterns. So wing, I just wanted to go over because I thought this was important for the lady or gentleman that asked me about it that's in it. You know, this is really important to understand what transpired here. You have an upper channel trend line here that I've had in forever. Okay. And you rejected it today. So you rejected it on the open, you rejected it on the close, it looks like, and you're at the 21 day. I'd be very careful here. And all these wicks to me just mean constant rejection and uncertainty. And I've got a lot of overhead here. So just be very careful with this. Your money's definitely spent on better ideas out there. And, you know, there's a bunch of those that were thrown out there today. So that's it. As always, subscribe to the channel, click on notifications, and we will go from there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.